Orientation, right? Oh, she's doing flag football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing that, she was practicing high jumping.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
very
so
athletic, but she's just
I'm-
getting it off.
I mean, she's not gonna-
Campus.
Okay,
You
yeah.
say
I think
you're
your
gonna
forehead,
boot
like,
camp
whatever.
across the-
Yeah, orientation is Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. Yeah.
I feel like Maggie's less excited about AP boot
I
camp
know.
today. It's just
Hey.
months ago was the idea.
It is now 7 p.m. I would like to call this Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting to order on August 11th, 2025. Ms. Sully, would you please call the roll?
Jennifer Quigley. Here. Chris Hamilton.
Here,
Erica Peterson.
Here.
Jillian Phelps. John Rebel.
Here,
Brad Stefan.
Here.
And Lisa Wooster.
Nisha ran to her car, her stuff is here.
All right, if you would please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ms. Sully, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
All right. I'd like to welcome our guests, the new union reps here with us. So welcome. As Ms. DeCoursey is moving into her role in administration, she is no longer a part of the union. So glad to changeover. Would anybody like to add any information or discussion items to the agenda? Okay, agenda stands. 6, information discussion, first reading of board policies. Erica or Chris, is there anything you would like to comment on specifically or share on those?
No, really, I did have a chance, and I think Chris did too. We kind of read through them. It seems like most of the issues are fairly minor. I do think there's one issue that the board is gonna have to decide, and it's the one on transferring students.
750.
For some reason I'm not seeing it right there.
I think it's
This one.
750 that one.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it. Sorry, thank you. From my understanding of reading it, there's issues about when kids are disciplined at another school and then would come here. There's, and I think if you, oh, this isn't the red line version. Anyway, the issue is whether when kids would come here, the board, I guess, could decide if we want, if there was a discipline that the child had to do, if we wanted them to complete the discipline before coming into Millburn. And I think the change was the board can decide whether we would want to take into account sort of mitigating factors for why the child is being disciplined in order to make an equitable decision. It was in, I'm not seeing it there, the red line version.
But it would be with this paragraph, right?
Seeking to transfer into the district must serve the entire term of any suspension or expulsion imposed for any reason by any public or private school in this or any other state before being admitted into the school district.
So
Right,
we'd
but I
have to do
think,
that.
well, there was something that looked like it was the red line change that said a board can decide if it wants to take into account things like whether there's a reason why the child was disciplined that may or may not make the discipline equitable. And so we as the board could decide to take those factors into account.
Yeah, it was footnote only that she's referring to.
So I'm sorry, I can't remember now where I read
Yeah,
it.
I think I got it right. I think this is really good.
Uh,
What maybe not.
Well,
I don't have a touch screen.
Oh, okay.
But we can, I mean, this is just the first reading anyway, right? So I think we're gonna have opportunity to discuss more, but I think that's the only place where.
We can discuss right now. What we're here for.
Yeah?
I don't know if the committee here is as ready as we should be to have this deep discussion.
Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
So essentially, what it's saying is that as the policy via press, I'm guessing that's what this is.
Yes.
Says that they should fulfill any consequences basically before they start here. But what you're saying is that in the footnote, it said that we can determine if they have to.
I think the footnote's more,
We can take into account reasons why the punishment was given. Some concerns that I have being, The private schools are in there. I myself went to a uniform required school once upon a time, and I would be disciplined for not wearing the right color socks. So I'm sure the socks wouldn't warrant a suspension.
But I
That would
don't,
have
yeah, I don't think
red
they're gonna
lines, but-
expel you for that.
Or any sort of suspension or serving entire, any suspension, expulsion imposed for any reason. No, I don't see it for a uniform, but it could be, I don't know.
No, that is.
So what do you think?
So hold on. And I think, cause I think I
Muddied it.
misread it, but if you go, so it's not, do we have the, is it possible to pull up the red line version?
With the footnote, because it's just a discussion in the footnote. Which aren't actually part of the policy, so.
Because basically what the footnote says is that the board may adopt a policy that if a student is suspended or expelled from any school, the student must complete that suspension before being admitted into the school district, as long as there's no threat to, the safety of students or staff. But if the board does adopt that policy, then it must allow for the consideration of any mitigating factors. So I think the question for us is whether we want to adopt a policy that the student must finish out the discipline before coming in here.
So the way this is worded and presented and currently recommended is that must serve the entire term no matter what. And what you're saying is that the board has the option to put in there, may choose to allow in lieu of serving the entire term. So, well, however that's worded.
Right.
If you do, then of course you have that process.
And so we're currently not, right? We're doing the must complete.
Yeah, right now it's pretty
That's
black
what
and
it
white
says.
as must. So the question would be, would the board consider any circumstances that they would allow a student to come in from another school district that was expelled without completing the term?
So if a kid brought a gun to school in Chicago, let's say, and they suspended him for 6 months, and so they moved him up here.
Yep,
Right now,
Hoping we will.
they have to do the 6 months before they even come to Milburn,
Right.
and what we wanna consider is, can we say, well, it was a BB gun, 6 months is too long, we only wanna suspend them for a month.
Yep.
Personally, I like to have the discretion,
I agree.
but.
Because without knowing the history of the child, because there's certain school records that cannot be shared between school districts, to my knowledge, so we can't see the whole. Everything, the whole picture. For something serious like a loaded firearm, I would want to make sure that everybody's safe, but they're not going to suspend someone for socks or uniform policy, but you never know what's happening, what other exacerbating circumstance might exist in their home school district. They might have been getting bullied, or they have a long history with this person and getting in a fight. And then once they're removed from that element, it might not
So how do we
matter
get
anymore.
that full picture though?
I would say if we have then a hearing with the student and the parents, or not the board necessarily, but the superintendent or designee can have that meeting to ask for, they can essentially petition to waive, I don't know the legal term for this.
No, it'd be before the whole board.
Before the whole, oh, okay.
The board would have to vote on that. Because what you're doing is overturning the expulsion or suspension.
Is it a state rule that we have to? Oh, okay, so we would be going against state law.
No, not against it. This is saying you
This
have
would
the
be,
choice.
we could have the policy to have that choice. Currently, we have no choice.
The
We say
state,
they have.
laws, I
they
can't,
have to do it.
I can't expel a
So,
student.
right, okay,
The board has to expel a student.
no, I mean,
It's so
there's no
board-
state law saying that the student has to finish out no matter
No.
what school he's at.
No.
Okay. Why wouldn't we want this person? We could, I'm sure you would talk to
I think this
the
would create some work.
superintendent and, or maybe they couldn't tell you everything though either.
Well, that's, I think my point is, kids don't get expelled for no reason. And, if we were to do a hearing in front of the board and we're just having that child and those parents come in, they can tell us any story they want to tell us. And the people who provided the expulsion likely aren't able to tell you all the details. So we're only going to get one side of the story anyway, and they're not going to be specific as to why something happened, or they might color it a little bit differently so that it might not seem as
Because they're gonna be advocating for their parent or their child.
Child, right?
The parents are gonna be advocating for
Right.
their child. 'Cause
But
they
we
want
also
it-
know that too.
Mhm.
I mean, we're
Sure.
not clueless to that.
Discretion doesn't mean we have to approve it.
Yeah, and my question would be, is there a way that they can hide stuff from us? And then maybe, then I'm with you on that, because yeah, if we
Seems like the
can
answer
only
is yes.
get one side of the story. But then would be approving as a board anyway.
And I don't wanna keep kids out of school longer than they need to be, but I also wanna make sure that our community's safe.
Right.
You know, if a child was expelled for something that is dangerous to the community, then that's a concern. If they, you know, brought drugs to school and they were a bonehead, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something that's different. I don't know.
What sort of liability might we have though if we, okay, let's say the kid was beating other kids up and we let him back into school and then he killed somebody? Can they then come back to us and say, well, he was expelled, you guys let him loose on the rest of your school? Would we get in any sort, would we have any? Not like if your dog bites the second time, it's on you, right?
I think liability aside, we probably don't want that situation to occur either way.
No, what I'm saying, if we don't want discretion, if it can turn around and bite us,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? If we get tricked. Or whatever, follow what I'm saying?
So.
Yeah, you're protected either way. That's, I understand what you're saying, for sure, but. The board itself would be protected in that case. If you acted within reasonable. If you made a reasonable decision based on the information you had, you're gonna be fine, liability wise, but. Obviously, no one wants that.
So two more thoughts.
Yeah.
When a child is expelled, often they are given an opportunity to complete their consequences in an alternative placement.
Mhm.
Like at the regional office, they have a safe school. Or something like that versus going to another public school. So the likelihood of a student actually transferring here from another public or private school because they've been expelled is pretty low, because they're given other opportunities to like fix that kind of thing. And has this ever happened before? Like, have you ever had anyone come from an expulsion wanting to attend here?
It's certainly rare. I think we had one, and we just said, no, this long, that. None. Nothing in the last 8-9 years. So yes, it's very rare. And we have had 0 expulsion hearings here in 20 years. So that's good, because it's really difficult to expel a student. Very difficult. And when you do, you have to provide alternative education, like Jen said. We're actually required to provide alternative education in most cases, I believe. So.
So the likelihood of it actually happening is really, really low.
That's why I'm fine with it either way, because it's likely not gonna happen.
As I was gonna say, it's almost never gonna happen, there will be much change.
It's easier just to say, nope.
Is it, we're talking about extreme circumstances in case of expulsion. Policy also does refer to suspension, but those. I haven't heard of a suspension longer than like 10 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and by the
I
time
don't know why
somebody
it's suspension.
moves and does all the paperwork to transfer district, it's probably
Seems
gonna be
pretty
10
unlikely.
days.
It is
anyway.
anyway, yeah.
Seems like you could wait the extra couple days.
Yeah.
I'm sure the policy's fine as is. This change here in the footnote is only amending. Things that we would have to consider in the mitigating factors. It's no change to the way our policy was, and the rest of the footnote remains the same twice, so.
Right, and my point was that this is like the only thing that I
The
saw
only thing that's asking us to discuss it.
that would give us like any sort of, yeah. if we
That's
wanted
good to
change.
discuss, that's a good question. We brought up different issues too, like liability, where is the board's liability, it's like that. Are you protected? It's good questions.
All right, so we're hearing for the positive aspects of it, we can take into consideration equity issues or past history. The cost of ascending them to an alternative education in the case of expulsion. But if we, do change it, it might add more work on our part, having to hear these appeals, if you will, and possibly liability issues that could arise down the line.
Well, I think the cost of the alternative placement doesn't fall on us, it would be the school that decided the expulsion.
Well, I was thinking like, so they get expelled from Chicago, CPS, and then family moves up here. So then they would try and enroll here is what I was thinking, instead of them saying, we're still living in Chicago, now we're just gonna try and enroll into any school we can. That's how I was reading.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily advocating for a policy change.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. Any other policies you wanna pull out and chat on?
That was the only one that I saw that might merit some discussion.
Okay. All right. Fiscal year 26 budget, Ms. Kraft.
So only a couple of updates since we last met.
Your board report.
Sure, you can open up the board report. So the change.
I'll do that.
There were two bigger changes. One under the education fund, there was an increase of just over $27,000 for a student who is going to be placed out of district. But on the flip, the good news is, under the transportation fund, we were able to eliminate that $74,000 cab cost and create a bus route. So what that does, we still have a balanced budget. It basically just increases this $108,000 difference between expenditures and revenues. It adds an additional $46,000 to the bottom line, so a little bit of extra money there. I will point out, if you scroll down just a bit, I took a screenshot of what was the proposed budget, and then this minor update, the $46,000 difference, but the fund balances didn't carry through. So the actual total between the expenditures, revenues, and fund balances at the end here is $13,756,258. So again, just an increase of just over $46,000. So in the next board meeting, Dr. Linden and I will ask the board to approve the budget, which will then be posted and sent to the state. I'm quite certain we will have an amended budget later in the year, just with changes coming with the transportation claim that comes back in October and any other changes that pop up throughout the year.
And we will have a hearing before.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So we open up the hearing at 7 p.m. And if anybody from the public wants to come in and comment about the budget or ask questions about it, we have to have that hearing, and we will leave it open as long as people want to comment, and then we'll close that hearing and go into a regular meeting. And then during the regular meeting, we get to approve the budget.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you. Waste and recycling services request for proposal / contract.
So in the month of July, there was a request for proposal for waste and recycling services. We currently use Groot. Their contract is ending in August. So we got 3 requests back, or proposals back, I should say. And Groot came in as the low cost vendor, along with already being here. We know their services are reliable, they're responsive. So in the next board meeting, Dr. Linden and I will ask the board to approve a 3-year contract with Groot.
What are the other two?
Waste management and,
Or the LRS.
yep, LCS. Yes.
Is this one of those things we're required to go with the lowest vendor on?
No, because it's a request for proposals. It's not a bid, so we don't have to go with the lowest dollar amount. So what we have whenever we do a request for proposal here at Melbourne is a spreadsheet that is weighting cost, product quality, geographic location, project management capability, and past experience with the district. So they get a rating, and whoever is the highest rated is who is proposed to the board for approval.
I like Groot.
Group's fine.
Okay. Ed Red contract. You?
Yep.
Oh,
So in, every year, we are part of the Ed Red Consortium, which is a lobbying service that districts in the northern kind of Collier counties, districts in this area, pool our resources, and we hire lobbyists to make sure that legislation in Springfield is positive for schools and districts, and they're monitoring that and then sending back information and feedback. Jen, you went to it. and
Yeah,
to
so
Erica.
yeah,
You went to one of the meetings, so
Right.
we have to pay every year to be part of that service. It's $2,500. Like $600, I don't recall, but it'll be on the next meeting. Just want to give everybody a heads up.
so how do they differ from our lobbying from IASB?
That's a great question. They are different because they represent districts in our area specifically. ISB represents the whole state. So districts generally in the rural areas have different needs, and they're going to be lobbying legislators for different legislation than we would for this area. A lot of times it overlaps, most of the time, but there are different areas that are more important for us.
So we could be betting the lobby two different sides of the coin.
Yeah. Is it worth it? Do you see?
Yeah.
It's valuable?
Yeah,
I would think so, but
yeah, it's
sounds cheap.
pretty low cost for what we get out of it. Could we do it without it? Of course we could survive, but to be part of that group and to support legislation, and if we ever wanted to write a bill, that would help us write a bill. That work with us, so I think it's worth it. It's not gonna be perfect. None of the groups are, because if you got more than one school district, you got more than one issue. And sometimes they compete. But one of the examples is they lobby for Woodland and Fremont and Grays Lake with the charter school, because of the funding model. They're not opposed to charter schools. In theory, they're opposed to how charter schools are funded. And the way charter schools are funded is if Milburn was part of that, or there's a charter school in Milburn, they would take all of our state aid off the top at what is now $19,000 per student. So if they had 100 students, they would get 1.9 million off of our state aid off the top for those kids to educate them. It's a good deal. So
Woodland gets slammed.
Woodland got slammed. Woodland got really slammed. It's a lot. My proposal was, why doesn't Milburn become a charter district? We would dissolve, become a charter district, and then we would pull all of everybody's general state aid per kid and get to choose who gets to come here. And be great. It didn't go over very well.
Yeah.
They just laughed and said, "You're so funny."
Yeah, Jason. Like your ideas. No, it was more of a humorous, but to make a point, who wouldn't want that?
Mhm.
As a school district. Wouldn't have to worry about referenda, wouldn't have to worry about fluctuations and state aid, property taxes, just give me the money, I'll take the cash, educate the kids, done.
Cap your class sizes.
With caps on class sizes, fewer regulations. Perfect. Good times. That's it.
I pulled up the invoice, it's 2,100.
100, what a deal.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions on Ed Red? Okay. Future agenda items, number 7, we're plowing through this, policy updates for the future. Well, then vote on it in the next meeting.
Yep, and the budget.
Yeah, but, yeah. Any other comments on future agenda items? Okay. Dr. Lynn, your report, please.
All right. Well, we're getting real close to the start of school. We've got a lot of changes. I'd like to announce that we have hired an assistant principal at the middle school, Chrissy Cacciatore. She is coming from Round Lake School District, and she's been there for over 20 years as a teacher at the high school, department chair or division chair at one point. And then the last 10 years or so as the fine arts coordinator for the district K-8. So she's comes with great experience and without going into significant detail, there, we have the blessing of the school district because her position was going to be eliminated at the end of this following year, and she was just notified a week ago that that was gonna happen. And so the superintendent said, there's 8 positions across the district that were eliminated, nothing personal, not anything against the people who are in them. They just had to eliminate them for budget reasons. And so he said, anybody that's in those 8 positions, we will, if you can find a job, we'll let you out of your contract. Because they just found out about some severe budget issues in July. So bad for them. Good for us. It worked out, and we didn't have to make any deals with another district about stealing administrator or teacher from them. So it all worked out.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we're excited. She's very personable, very happy, very energetic.
Great.
Glad there won't be any bad blood there.
Right.
Yeah,
That's huge.
worrying about near the end.
So that was one
Oh, yeah.
issue. We had new family. We invite them in tonight at both schools. If you're new to the district, just to give an overview of how little things like lunch works and little things like drop off. Where do I drop off my kid? If you're new, you don't quite know. So that was Ben did a great job of bringing the families in tonight, giving them a little bit of a tour and some information. And that'll continue throughout this week. Lots of new stuff and getting ready for the school year. Monday night is supply drop off, which means you got a letter note from Veronica. If you could please get your picture taken. If you've got kids, you can come with your kids because they're getting their picture taken. But if you don't in the district, that's okay. Just anytime between that 3:30 to 6, come into the gym and you can fill out a card and get your headshot done. So we can do that on the website. We'd like to get that this year.
Oh, we're only doing that for the new one, so if we did it last year, we're not doing it again.
Oh, you guys are doing,
Oh,
please,
And
please.
to go along with that website photo, you can write like a 3 to 4 sentence bio about yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, not
Nothing
through
big.
short, maybe you can talk about your background, your involvement in Melbourne community, how long you've been on the board, just. You can chat GPT, hey, I gotta write a 3-4 sentence bio. What do you think I should put in it?
And is that gonna be here at the middle school?
Either one. In both gyms. Lots of choices.
So they'll know that we're there to do that. Someone will know what to do with us. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, last
They
year.
might look at you funny. It
That's
depends.
fine.
If the.
If I wind up with all the kids to go.
If the photographer in general know,
Okay.
the head photographer knows, but
Okay.
there's 4 locations, so the individual photographer might know. Your teacher, yeah, just go with it.
That's what they asked me. I said, your teacher, no. That's all on board. Well, okay. And they took my picture.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
Who do we send in 3 to 4 sentences to? Veronica?
Right, yep. We start next week, Monday, with teachers coming back. Tuesday is a full day of training. Again, just a reminder, our focus this year is on UDL, Universal Design for Learning. And that is a framework. It's not a specific technique. There will be specific techniques that we talk about for teaching and planning and how to better educate our kids. But it's a framework that is designed to help individualize students, individualize the learning for the students without overburdening the teacher, try to take some of that burden off of the teacher for planning, because we can't make a different lesson plan for every single student and each one of their needs. This is it's a framework for how do I think about making one lesson plan that every student can access, and then teaching the kids how to access that learning on their own. In theory, that's how it goes. So we're going to be talking about that and learning about that. I am gonna be taking part in some PD this year with Lake County superintendents on the power of AI. I attended a conference this summer on AI, or summit on AI, and how that's being utilized in schools, the pros, the cons, how to implement it. So that's gonna be an ongoing series throughout the school year with Lake County superintendents, just so we can wrap our minds around it a little bit. It is so much and so overwhelming and changing so quickly. It's difficult to comprehend, but we should do what we can to stay ahead of it. Because it is definitely scary. Definitely scary. So that's it's like going to the conferences with the lawyers where you go back and say, I think we should close school. There's so much risk. I don't know what to do. But with AI, it is a very powerful tool, but with any powerful tool, there's powerful consequences for good and for not so good. So that's part of what we're doing what I'm looking at this year, and other people are as well. That's it for my superintendent.
Thank you. Ms. Kraft, anything to add to the business office report?
Just one thing, the state requires that, all school districts to submit a site-based report each year. So this captures, the expenditures per student at each school building. We just scroll down to the second page. That report was submitted a week ago. And that table right there is the end result of the report. So in fiscal year 25, at the elementary school, just over $17,800 was spent per elementary student, and at the middle school, just under $19,000. And I'm sure the main difference between those two amounts and those two schools is simply all of the activities and sports that are at the middle school.
Thank you very much.
That is.
How does that on the state, how does that compare to the state average expenditure?
Still below. Good question. But we won't know until the report card comes out in 2 more years. Anyway, we won't know for a while.
Okay.
And this, I believe, is less than last year.
I was gonna ask, you guys plot these over time, I assume?
All of this is on the state website too. That's pretty easily accessible, where you can click on different filters and it'll plot this out for you for forever, and gives you the state lines. Sorry,
Oh, no, that's fine.
but yeah, easily accessible. And usually it's 2 years behind, because this would be an audited. This is last year's, right? This is FY 25. Now it gets audited. Then it's delivered to the state in January, February for next year's report card. So when you see our report card coming out in the end of October-ish from the state,
Mhm.
that would be FY 24.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Board reports.
I have two things. But I met with the auditor for us, about 2 weeks ago, and she was giving you tons of
Oh.
compliments. She said that you make it so easy for her to come in, 'cause you're so organized and ready to go, that she says she wished everyone was like you, so that was really nice to hear. And then I met with last Friday, I met with Senator Mary Edley Allen. about, just what they can do at the state level to support school districts. And I talked about Milburn and how it's, really a bedroom community, how there isn't many businesses to help with the tax base in our area. And so we talked about school funding, and she talked about evidence-based funding and how that tries to balance it. And I said, well, I spent 3 days at Stevenson last week. And I'm telling you, it was appalling to see that they have 2 Starbucks, and just up the street, there's schools that can't afford books. I'm like, that's not okay. And so I'm like, we need to do something about that. And she's like, what ideas do you have? And so it was just good to have a conversation with someone who may have some pull. She's on a lot of the education committees. So, it's just nice to make those connections, that if there ever is anything that we want to do, she talked about if there's ever a resolution you want me to bring to the, I'm like, okay, it sounds, she gave me a personal cell phone number. I'm like, this is great to have someone that you can contact. So if we ever do get into a pinch where we're like, we need people to know what's going on and how it's affecting us. It's just good to have people. So.
Sounds good. Anything else? I attended the new teacher welcome here last week. Our 2 math teachers at the middle school and our 1 first grade teacher coming in. So they seemed nice. I didn't spend too much time with them, just a quick meet and greet, so. Try and whenever you can, attend those events. I know people like seeing us, teachers like seeing us, so. That's all I have. Do I have a motion to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee, of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreation, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Motion to move to closed session.
And 1 more. Sorry. Litigation when an action against, number 11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending in court before or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. 5 ILCS 122C/2C11.
Motion moved to closed session for one of those or more of those reasons.
Second.
Ms. Louie, please call the roll.
Okay, Jennifer Clifford,
Yes.
Chris Hamilton,
Yes.
Erica Peterson,
Yes.
Julian Phelps, John Ruggles.
Yes.
Fred Stepford.
Yes.
And Lisa Looster.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be ending our stream. We're not going to take any action after we return. Those who, our guests may leave us now. Thank you for joining us.
you.
And we'll see you around, I'm sure.
Thanks. Thanks, Charlie.